Hi, Turquoise. My name is Megan Murphy with Health Monitor Network. I'm the marketing coordinator here, and we're really appreciative of you willing to do our interview for eczema awareness. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Turquoise. Um, Nice to see you again.
Yes,
My name is Joanna, and I'm the senior editor at Health Monitor. And I really enjoyed our interview last time that we spoke. So I'm excited to do this with you today.
me too. It's good to put a name with a face finally.
Yeah, so let's start off with tell me about a bit about your background.
Okay, so I originally hail from South Florida, so that's Fort Lauderdale for those that are not familiar. I currently live in Chicago, so I've been a native of the area now, the Midwest, for the past 5 years. So that's a little bit about me. I am the product of two immigrants. My parents, my father is from the island of Jamaica, and my mother is from Trinidad. They are both naturalized citizens, but I am the first American, if that makes sense, cousins wise. And so it's just been an honor to be in this country and to be able to tell my story. A little bit that you'll learn about me is that I'm very open. I love to share. I love to tell a story. I like to connect with others. But the reason we're all here today is because I did suffer from two things: seborrheic dermatitis and atopic dermatitis. And so I have found ways over the years and decades to deal with the condition. It's very controlled. It's pretty much non-existent. And so I hope that what I share and what we talk about today inspires you who's watching.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Can you tell me what age were you first diagnosed?
Yes. So I was in high school, actually. I was 14 years old, and I actually did not know that it was eczema. We thought it was psoriasis. And when we went to three different specialists, we discovered that it was actually seborrheic dermatitis, which meant that it affected my scalp specifically.
So I know last time that we spoke, you mentioned that you joined a support group with the National Eczema Association. So tell me when and why did you choose to support that group?
So when I moved to Chicago in 2019, I was looking for community, looking for ways to continue to build and just connect with people. My family is still back in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale. So for me, eczema has always been a part of my identity. And I felt that it was important, even if I saw that it was in remission and it wasn't as prevalent, I always wanted to find a way to give back. So I just did a basic Google search and came across NEA, which stands for the National Eczema Association. And they're based on the West Coast of the US. But I just got started with their research and advocacy group. They actually lobby on Capitol Hill. They do something called a virtual Hill Day, and I've done two of those since 2021, which is when I joined. And then they also do expos every single year. And so I've gone to one already. It was in Seattle in 2022, and I'll be heading to their Denver, Colorado 2024 expo as well.
Great. So how did your involvement in the NEA get you to where you are now? So how did they help you with advocacy and research?
So in addition to those virtual Hill days where you talk to your local senators, I mean, I had my local representatives from Chicago on the line. A lot of their offices were there. And I think really it was just like being willing to tell your story. So I did connect with their senior editors and things like that. And if you look up my name, you'll see there are some articles that have been published. And what I think their team found very unique about me wasn't that my story is so different from everyone else, because I think that we all have something unique. But I think what, I was sharing with y'all off camera is that I think for me, when I was diagnosed with eczema, it was during a time in our country and world where you didn't really see a lot of products for people of color. And I am a person of color. I am of Caribbean descent. And so that was tricky. I mean, now you can blend and contour and you can add extensions and all these things. But back then, that was non-existent. And so I think Nia found that very fascinating. And the fact that I was willing to tell my story over and over again, I think was what kept that relationship going. And I continue to do work for them even to this day.
Yeah, I think that's super admirable, the fact that you saw an issue and you want to work to change it. Can you expand on that about why you are so passionate about spreading the word and raising awareness for eczema?
I think that I just didn't realize how many people are affected. Now, I don't have the exact stats, but it is quite prevalent. It's almost like asthma or one of those illnesses. It's actually considered to be an autoimmune disease, if that makes sense. And so the fact that people have it and it's so prevalent for me felt like it was something that needed to be talked about. And the passion for me is that, why is it that I was like, quote unquote, healed? Why is it that my healing came early? I think for me, that kind of hit me differently because there are people dealing with a condition called TSW, which is where you are dealing with topical steroids withdrawal. Some people are marred, they're scarred very badly. I have no evidence of any of that. And I think that just weighed on me and made me realize that my lifelong mission is to spread awareness, whether that's on Capitol Hill, whether that's in my local community through an article, going to expo, talking to people. That is just my passion. And I think that if more people were to pay it forward, this world would continue to be a better place.
Yeah, I really love that. So going back to what you mentioned earlier about, how like skincare and hair care has changed so much over the years. So yeah, tell us more about your own, skincare and healthcare, hair care routine, and how has it changed through time?
Right. So skincare wise, luckily, thank God, I never really had any issues. Acne, that was never a thing for me. So wasn't a whole lot there. I think when I say skincare, for me, it was my hairline. Being darker complected, I actually you can't see it now, but I had like a gray hairline. And that's only because that was the seborrheic dermatitis. The dermatitis went all the way down, like near my eyebrows, meaning that was itching, scratching. It was so evident that no amount of product could cover it. So the rest of my skin was fine. There was no issues. It was just to cover that grayish looking area was so difficult, and I really couldn't find product to do that. So I just had to walk around with it. I mean, and what it did was it built character and confidence, and I really don't feel bad about that at all. No one ever asked me, hey, what's going on there? But I think for me, I was just aware, and I was 14 at the time. So my awareness was pretty heightened. So that was my skincare. The hair care routine, though, did change. So I did go all natural. That was before natural became a thing. So women that are locking their hair, women that are wearing natural hairstyles now, I was doing that way before women did what's called the big chop. I could not relax my hair because if you were to even put a product of any kind on the scalp for me, it would burn. I would actually I would have like abrasions on my scalp. It just was not. It was not good. So over the years, moving from the products, which would straighten my hair essentially, to this natural kind of organic way of living was difficult. It was not easy. If I had an outbreak at night or something like that, I just had to find a way to wear my hair. Didn't always look the best. So it's evolved. Now, as you can see, my hair has grown back. I lost close to 90-something% of my hair back then, and it has grown back through just change of diet. I am now pretty much 85% plant-based, and that's a personal decision. It has changed my life. And actually, I don't experience any of those flare-ups on my scalp anymore because of that. Also, my water intake has changed. I drink a lot of water. And again, like it's going to be different for every person, but remaining hydrated and eating more organic foods, meaning foods that are not processed, has significantly changed my skin and my hair. So I hope that answered your question, but I mean, it'll give you a glow like just like that, just by eating organic. Yeah. So
Yeah, your hair looks great. I'm so happy that you found something that works for you.
Like you mentioned with your hair and being 14, that's a super hard age to go through anything, especially a skin condition like eczema. So can you just tell me what challenges along with that you faced when dealing with your eczema when it comes to like confidence, your age, anything like that?
So let's see. I was pretty much in ninth grade. So I was pretty much older at that time. I didn't really have a lot of confidence issues. I think what I encountered was just how do I show up in the workplace? Because I did work like summer jobs and things like that. And so one of the things I really remember was if I had a bad hair day or a flare up or was scratching overnight. So there's something called the scratch itch cycle, which means you are scratching and itching and scratching it, like that is the entire cycle. It's hard to break. So if something like that were happening, or I had a night where it was just a little more prevalent than a previous night, then I would have to ponder, could I wear a hat? Which, as a working professional, to me, that I can't wear a hat to work. So it was things like that, like what can I do to cover that gray, just kind of that remnant that I would see at the forehead, right above the eyebrow. Those are some of the challenges. It was more in the workplace. Also, too, if environments were very warm, that's another thing. So I always have to be in a colder environment, where it's a lot colder. If it's too hot, automatically that will spark the flare up. So I think those were some of the challenges I faced. It was just being a working professional at that young age, because I started to, let's see, like I think 16 was where I was in the office and starting to build my professional working career.
So, as you know, eczema is a chronic condition, meaning that, it can come back and go away. How did you feel when you first heard this?
I was so motivated. So that's another thing about me, that I don't know. There's just this gene, this inevitable gene that says that, okay, I know that the science and the evidence and data says ABC, but I'm going to defy that. And one thing that I think immediately for me, it took several years, almost 7 years, to determine that food was linked to my condition. All right. So I made the decision to be plant-based. And I think for most people that would be hard to do, but like I said, I limit my meat intake. I try my best, because coming from a Caribbean American household, that's like nearly impossible. Meat is a part of our diet. So just eating less of that and really starting to change that. But for me, I didn't accept it. I did not accept it. And I was on a mission to find any means necessary to defy the odds. And it was so prevalent in me. I was on this mission that even my own dermatologist, she uses me to this day as her success story. And again, I have not been in her chair for many, many years now. So it's a big deal. When she saw me, I think a few months later after first diagnosing me, because I had mild eczema, she was shocked. She didn't even know that it was me. She was shocked. She says, "What did you do? How did you overcome?" And I just knew it was part of my willpower to defy the odds.
Yeah, I think you've definitely gotten through a lot of challenges while dealing with eczema, but you've done it in a very like admirable way with a smile on your face. So I think props to you for that. You're a really strong person. If you don't mind, can I ask if you would describe the symptoms during a flare up?
Yes. So if I'm remembering correctly, it's almost like this, it feels, so remember, a lot of my symptoms were on my scalp. So if you are experiencing eczema in other places, it might feel a little differently, but on my scalp it kind of felt like something was there. Like I couldn't feel it or see it, but like there was something there that was just uncomfortable. I can't explain it. I don't know if there were hair follicles or cells, but it was just, I could feel my scalp, like I was aware. And then there was this desire to want to scratch. So those were the main things. Once I gave into the scratching, it was over. Mainly it's a lot of itchiness. That's really one of the biggest symptoms. And for me, it wasn't immediate. So I didn't know it at the time, but if I would eat something, maybe the next, like a day or two later, that's when the itching would start or the scratching would start. So it wasn't like an immediate thing for me that, some people, if they have an allergy, it's right then and there. No, it took a little bit of time, but I made the connection that, oh, okay, I think processed foods are the culprit, or what I'm eating is the culprit. But that's really the main thing. The incessant itching is just, I can't
Yeah. So
even.
how did your flare-ups impact your day to day?
So, to the point where you can see flakes on your desk, that's unsightly, to the point where you're using pencils and things to just relieve. It's just not a good look. People would see that and think something's wrong. So, and then here was the interesting part: you could control it, at least for me, during the day. So during the day, I could kind of control it. I could pat my scalp and relieve myself that way. It was at night, because at night you don't know what you're doing. So then I started to just cut my nails. So my nails would be very short. That way, if I did scratch at night, I, wouldn't have any open abrasions or anything like that on my scalp, any blood or anything like that. That started to help. But my goal was to really stop that scratch itch cycle. I believed in my heart, if I could stop that, then I'd be fine. And I was on a mission. So come night, I would just make sure, okay, what am I doing? I would wear socks sometimes on my hands just to kind of make sure. Eventually, I started sitting on my hands so during the day. And I believed if I could conquer it during the day, I'd be okay at night. And as I started to do that more and more, it became easier. So maybe I would say, okay, I want to sit on my hands for 20 minutes. And just, and anytime I'd feel the urge to scratch, like, I wouldn't do it. Like, okay, next day, let's do 25. And before I knew it, the desire went away.
I feel like as much as it's a physical condition, it's definitely a mental challenge too, to kind of have the willpower to do that when you're so itchy. It'd be hard to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell me that, like, once you found a treatment, how did that help you to manage your condition, and how did it improve your day to day?
I think for me, so I had a few steroids, but mainly it was shampoos that were medicated. So they had things like tea tree oil in it. Some of it had ketoconazole. I don't remember the exact scientific names, but they were basically medicated. And so what that did was, I realized using those helped to keep my condition at bay. Another thing that's a no-no that they say is you never want to wash your hair too much. And I did kind of not follow that rule. Anytime I felt scratchy or itchy, I would jump in the shower and wash it. And to this day, it's a lot better now. But to this day, sometimes that would mean waking up at 2 a.m. to wash my hair, whatever was needed to make sure I did not scratch. And then I would be able to use the medicated shampoo, and I would feel relief instantly. So that's what I did for a little while, eventually combining what I shared earlier about sitting on my hands and certain things, and changing my diet really helped. So I didn't have the urge as much, but I think all those things worked collectively.
Yeah, I love that, you mentioned everything that you've learned, through your journey, obviously. So what advice would you give to someone who's been, recently diagnosed with eczema?
So I would say use isolation. That is your biggest secret and weapon. First, start small. Start with, okay, let's see, what am I doing in my diet? Just kind of try the elimination strip method, eliminating things and starting to really see what's going to work. And don't beat yourself up, but also take really good notes. That way you'll know what you're allergic to, what you have reactions to. That's going to help you on your healing journey as you move along. Those are the key pieces I would tell anybody.
Lastly, do you think that there's anything you wish that you would have done differently throughout your journey, or are you happy with the way that you handled it and have come out on the other side?
I'm really happy with the way I handled it, to be honest with you. And my mother gets teary-eyed to this day about it, and my dad also. Like I said, I was rocking natural hair. I did a big chop, basically had no hair before it was a thing. And I think that's painful for a parent to see your child that has no hair. And according to my mom, I was very bold and confident. I was very confident did not wince at all. I actually remember looking at pictures of myself and I thought, oh wow, like 14-year-old me, like I can't even believe, I didn't even think twice. So there's nothing I would do differently. I think the one thing I would say is I wish that there were more communities like Health Monitor or the National Eczema Association. I think the kids now have such a great benefit to be able to have people to talk through these things with, and people that are like them, that are experiencing it. I didn't have that at the time. Obviously, I had a good support system and prayer and family, but that's what I would do differently. Just would encourage more of these types of organizations to offer more programming so that people are aware that it exists and they have support and help.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I'm in total agreement with you on that.
Yeah, you're such an inspiration. I love your confidence. Like, I don't know, but it's great. So yeah, to end our interview, we would like to play a little game called This or That. So I'm
Okay.
going to give you two options to choose from, and then you can tell me the reasoning behind your choice. Okay. So let's start off with ointment or lotion.
Lotion.
And can you tell me, explain why lotion is your choice?
Yeah, so I grew up using lotion. Honestly, it's my comfort. When I think ointment, I think steroids, and I think only apply to the spot directly. I like lotion because you feel super moisturized all over.
Right. Okay. So next slide would be long sleeve or short sleeve pajamas.
Long sleeve. There is a story behind that. Oh my goodness. To this day, when I travel, I still wear long sleeve and I wear hoodies. I know it looks silly, but it works for me and it helps me feel good because the thing is, if I do get a flare up, it's hard to get rid of. And that's a
Right.
whole nother conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to do what's comfortable for you, right? Okay. So next one, hot water or cold water?
Hot water. I still take my hot showers. I don't do baths, but showers. I love my hot showers. No one is going to deny me of that. However, I will just say 5 to 7 minutes only.
Got it. Yes. Okay. Next one is processed foods or organic foods.
Organic foods. And as much as I love my fried stuff, I try to limit that just because it just feels good to not have a flare up every day. So,
Right. Okay. So high intensity workouts or low impact exercises.
okay, this is a good one. So, low impact for me. I cannot sweat. That hairline area is kind of a target area for me. And so I do as much as I can to keep that looking melanin popping and gorgeous as possible. So nope, low impact for me.
Love it. So what kind of workouts do you like since we're on that topic?
Yeah, so I actually love walking. So I generally walk 10,000 steps a day, 4 miles. That's my goal. I close all my rings every day. And so it's actually neat because at work we're doing this challenge as well. And some people at work so that they wanted to know, what are your numbers? What do you hit every day? I want to hit this number. So it's a lot of fun, but once you start doing it, it just gets easier and easier. So I love walking. I also love dancing as well. So I know that's not low impact, but I try to make sure, I'm in a well kind of
Right.
air conditioned area so that I'm not super warm, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you for, sharing your tips and your story with us today.
Yeah, we really
Thank you
appreciate
so much. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you both for having me and for just bringing more awareness to what y'all do at Health Monitor. I'm so excited for the lives that will be changed because of this and many more conversations that y'all are putting together.
Thank you so much. And your story definitely impacts and goes a long way to help just inspire others with this condition.